Welcome everyone to our IFPAS technical our webinar, first webinar. Okay, so before I go on, just have to let you all know this is in a webinar format. So the participants, you all can't say anything, okay, but feel free to put any questions on the Q&A. And with us today, other than myself, I'm Ng Biao from IFPAS. I'm the executive committee of IFPAS. Yes, so with us today also we have two panelists. One, Nick Hicks from Kaplan Professional, and the other one will be Avina, who should be sharing she'll be sharing with us how she conduct a business using Zoom. Okay, good afternoon, fellow practitioners and friends of IFPAS. Just a reminder, IFPAS stands for Insurance and Financial Practitioners Association of Singapore. IFPAS represents all financial practitioners in Singapore. Welcome to our IFPAS technical workshop, How to Zoom. Before we go on, I would like to ask, why do we need to Zoom? 3 reasons we should be using Zoom or any video conference tools to meet clients. Number 1, worldwide COVID cases are expected to break the 2 million mark today. Currently, it stands at 1.99 million. Last count, Singapore has 3,252 cases, 334 cases reported yesterday. 10 of our fellow Singaporeans have died. Do you know of people you love or people you know who are infected by the virus? If yes, our hearts go to you and all the patients and to the front line and essential services workers. This is a period when it calls for all Singaporeans, all humans to play our part. One thing for sure, financial practitioners, although we are being classified as essential services, this does not give us automatic immunity against the virus. Hence, using Zoom, number 1 reason to use a Zoom or any form of video conferencing is to protect us so that we can continue to protect our loved ones and clients. Second reason, we are in the day 9 of circuit breaker, and we sincerely hope that everyone is adapting well and doing our part in this circuit breaker. One curious question, could the circuit breaker be extended? One key fact, 1/3 of the world population is under some form of restriction. Many countries have extended their lockdown period, whichever way it's been named. The only thing we know that if the circuit breaker gets extended, learning this new skill will now be helpful. And even if it doesn't get extended, it's good. And it's always good to learn a new skill. The last point, just one disclaimer before I say the last point. We, IFPAS, do not own the shares of Zoom. We are not promoting Zoom. We are promoting the usage of video conferencing to conduct business with our clients. Because even during the circuit breaker period, our clients need to be advised, to be protected and be prepared for retirement. They may not be ready to start something now, but we know it is essential to start the conversation. Would non-face-to-face become a norm? We don't want, but we don't know. It's better to be prepared. From the news yesterday, wearing masks is now compulsory once we step out of our home. My question to all of us is, would we prefer to present face-to-face with a mask on or without a mask but done virtually? IFPAS objective is always to give, prepare, and represent all financial practitioners of Singapore. Hence, when IFPAS E&T Vice President Mr. Alan Lim started the move, he resonated very strongly with the rest of the EXCO, and our President, Mr. Leong Sao Ho, and President-elect Mr. Carlos Lee supported wholeheartedly. By the number of sign-ups we received, we know that this is a right move. Thank you so much. Really, thank you so much for the endorsement. IFPAS will continue to work hard and work right for our members. Next up, we are very happy to have our working vendor partner to also share with us their experience and research. In Australia, Kaplan is recognized as a provider of specialist financial service education for the financial services sector, and they have been providing online education services to over 45,000 financial practitioners annually. So Nick Hicks from Kaplan Professional will now take a few minutes to talk about the macro trends impacting the delivery of financial service. Thank you, Nick. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Ng Biao, for the kind introduction. Just before I start, if I could pick up on one of your points in your intro, just to recognize the work of Sao Ho, the incoming president, Carlos, and his new executive committee team, and the education committee for the work that they have done. With 1,000 financial practitioners dialing into this webinar, you can see that this association is very future focused. I'd just like to congratulate you on the work. Most of us are dialing into this webinar from the comfort of our own home. And if you're anything like me, sometimes it feels a little bit like discomfort. I think we are all struggling to work and adapt as to how we go about a new way of doing things. And it's important to just recognize maybe how some of your other peers and practitioners are feeling, both personally and professionally. So too, members of the community. They are no doubt feeling vulnerable at the moment, and people need access to a trusted financial advisor now more than ever. There are people who don't yet have a financial advisor. We have to think about ways that we can reach them. And essentially, this is what this webinar is about. How do we leverage technology to think of new ways to encourage communication for people to have access to you as a financial practitioner? When you think about it, there is no other professional who has insights into a family's health or financial situation. It's a really privileged role that you have within society. And it's times like this that they need you now more than ever. It's well documented that within market downturns, people fly to cash and they can potentially shift their investment options. The fund managers call this sequencing risk, where the sequence of negative returns can have a greater impact on people's retirement savings than the number of negative returns. So too, we've all experienced with insurance premiums that when a family's household budget becomes tightened, one of the first discretionary items could be the insurance at the very point in time that they need the cover the most. And this is the environment that we find ourselves in, both a health crisis and an economic one. And chances are the economic impact is going to last far longer than the current coronavirus situation. You're about to hear how Edwina is adapting to this. She's got a little bit out of her comfort zone too. I'm sure she doesn't mind me sharing, but it's only the last few months that she's really embraced this technology to communicate with her clients. And she's doing a fantastic job at educating them as to how they can keep up communication with her. The onset of technology is not new though. I'm sure you have all heard dozens and dozens of presentations about technological disruption. If you read the research, we're supposed to have already been replaced by robo-advisors and artificial intelligence, and that hasn't happened. In fact, in markets like the US, the big robo-houses are actually finding that people get to the end of a digital advice process and then they want to pick up the phone and they want to talk to a human being. It strikes me though that all of the research seems to either come from one company or it comes from one particular sector. And there doesn't seem to be a perspective that's given from where you are sitting as a financial practitioner in the comfort of your own home. You've heard of FinTech, financial technology. You've heard of RegTech, regulation technology. So here's a new one to the list, advice tech. And one of the insights from this research, which was produced by an investment and technology company in Australia, was to map out the broad spectrum of all the different technology tools that impact all aspects of financial advice. So this could be the client experience, it could be the technical side of crafting insurance and financial planning advice, or it could be something to do with the delivery and creating efficiencies. And you can see that it's mind-boggling the amount of options out there. They've identified 20 different segments, and in each segment, there's different options to choose from. Today, we are just zeroing in on one particular segment, and that is the virtual and online client meetings. And you can see there that there are many different options, and we're taking it a step further and just sharing one particular platform. Kaplan uses this technology as one way to educate the clients and financial practitioners who are students of ours. A common question which is asked by many financial practitioners, not just here in Singapore, but many different markets, is how do I begin? I want to use technology, but I'm not sure how. There seems to be information overload. And I'm sure we've all had that before, where we've got so many choices that we never actually start. The research identified a number of barriers that are stopping to people, and maybe you can identify with some of these. It could be that you don't have time. You're managing a busy lifestyle as it is. How do you actually implement it in your practice? Or the one down the bottom, I don't have the right resources or people. In case you're wondering why it adds up to more than 100%, participants in the research could choose multiple options. What you see here, though, is these are just common barriers which can stop all of us getting outside of our comfort zone. One common trait, though, that ties people like Edwina, who are trying and adapting new ways, to really successful advice practices that use advice tech all the time, is that they're intellectually curious. They're willing to try new things. And here's a really key point of the research. You can see there in the quadrants that 42% of people who are using this technology, doesn't mean that they always get it right, means that they're still learning, but they're willing to take an attitude of trying. There's a direct link into the revenue that they generate. In fact, 100% of the people in that quadrant saw an increase in the amount of revenue that they had from the previous year. And that's a really telling insight. It ties together this concept of being intellectually curious and giving things a go and moving outside of our comfort zone. To highlight a piece of research that was a little bit closer to home is the EY Global Wealth Management. And one of the highlights there was that tools like voice-enabled technology, digital assistants, virtual online meetings are the different channels that will take us into the future. So technology is not new. Client preferences are changing though, and it's up to us to adapt and to respond to the shift in consumer preferences. And this is where Edwina is going to highlight the practical tools about how she goes about it. You don't need to adopt her way of doing things, but I do hope that she inspires you to develop your own way of doing things. And IFPAS, once again, thanks for being future focused and bringing this to the market. Ingbel, back to you in the IFPAS studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nick, again, for your kind sharing. So I would like to have a little expectation management before we go on. By the end of the session, we are not here to make everyone expert to know how to use Zoom, but we are sharing applicable steps to start video conferencing. And we are definitely aware and concerned about the security issues. Security issues are anywhere, if I can say. It's just like eating a fish. Fish is good, but the bones can kill. Moral of the story, we need to know and take the steps to conduct Zoom safely. And our speaker will definitely touch on it later. There will be a Q&A to be answered at the end. Depending on time, we may be restricted to 3 questions only. Hence, please try to like the questions that other people have posted if you find it relevant. And only the 3 most relevant, we will be put to Q&A. Okay, next up, our main speaker, Ms. Edwina Wu. So Edwina is a practicing and experienced financial consultant of 8 years, and she has been using technology to interact with her clients. She's in the IFPAS working committee, and she has generously agreed to share her experiences, and she will share the slides, her slides after the session. And without further ado, let's hear from her share how she does it online. Edwina, please.
Hi everyone, thank you Ingbel for introducing me. Today I'm going to talk about online video meetings, and to make it very easy and simple for you and to set your mind. I'm not trying to change the way you do your sales. I'm not trying to change the way you talk to your clients. I'm not trying to change the way you do your presentation. It's merely what you have been doing. Tweak it a little bit from meeting face-to-face with your client at a cafe to just over the laptop. So I'll bring you through the steps on what can be done to do that slight little tweak, and then you are good to go as per normal and what you are used to. Okay, so there are many video conferencing platforms, and these are my criteria for a good conferencing tool. First, it needs to have the functionality. It has to suit me, the way I share, what I want to share, the ability to support large groups for those who intend to use it for meetings, for those who want to use it for webinars, or for those who wants to use it for external engagement with your clients, client engagement seminars, client workshops, you can use this conferencing tool. The other three, easy to download, easy to use, easy to control. It must be user-friendly because you don't want to spend the first 5 minutes trying to find out where's the button to do this, to do that, and then it just brings the attention and the purpose of the meeting away. So with this, even a simple WhatsApp video call, it can be a good video conferencing tool as long as it suits your needs. So for the purpose of this session and also the functionality that I like, I have chosen Zoom, and I'll be sharing about the various settings you can use within Zoom to enhance your presentation with your clients and your meetings. So I'll go through 5 processes. The first process is to set up. The next process is how to do a Zoom invitation. The next process is warming up. Once they enter the room, what should you do? And this is the meat of your show, the presentation, and lastly, the closing. So for those who are conducting meetings, not face-to-face, what is important to you is set up invitation to your colleagues or to your attendees and the presentation that you'll be doing. So in my presentation, you can see these icons in my slides. This icon means that the settings are specific to Zoom. If you do not see this, it means that it is general across all video conferencing platforms. This is specific for meetings, so it's not one-to-one, but for a group of people. And lastly, this is the part that you can use to orientate new users to Zoom. Okay, so let me start. Before you start anything, you have to set up your workstation. So this is how my workstation looks like. So whenever I go for a client meeting, I'll have my calculator, I'll have my notepad, I'll have a tablet ready to show my client and present my client. But to get on this video conferencing platform, I prefer not to combine my needs, my technological needs into just one device. I prefer one on desktop and one on my laptop so that I do not have to alternate tab to toggle between windows and then I cannot see my client. And what is most important that can gain your attention, it's headphone or a microphone. So for the purpose of this workshop or when I talk to my clients or attend meetings, I use this headphone that you can see over a video over here. I like to use this one-sided because it's light, wireless, and it leaves my other ear ready to listen for fire alarm if my kids cry for me. Another one that if you like is actually this round lighting. Lighting makes you look better. So if in case your workspace or your room has very dim lighting, yellow lighting, you might want to invest in a round light because round light is suitable to brighten your face. So you have to understand that since there's a laptop in between you and your client, you have to be aware that to grab their attention, it will be very visual. You have to look good. You have to sound good. So other than that hardware setup, you need to set up in your internal software. So if you want to share your screen with your clients, whatever you have in your browser, you might want to bookmark the important websites that you want to share with your clients. The documents, what documents that you use, for example, your brochures, your policy conditions, your forms that you want to share with your client, you can download all of those. Next is your presentation tools. I understand that some of you might love presenting pen and paper. I love presenting on pen and paper myself. But for the purpose of going online, this method is not as good. So I would rather you draw or prepare it beforehand on PowerPoint or even on Microsoft Words. I would also like to use Microsoft Words or any note-taking software so that I can jot down and share that screen as and when my client will speak, and I will actively listen and I will jot it down. So I will run through this with you, how to use screen share as I move on my presentation. So next is be picture ready, look good, and make sure it's at your eye level. I understand that some say that you just need to wear formal at the top and you can be very casual at the bottom. Yes, you can do that, but if ever you leave your seat and the camera will face you such that your client or your colleagues can see you from top to toe, make sure you wear a nice pants and not just your underwear. And also next is manage your family members. So I understand that most of us are working from home, you have spouse, parents or children around. You can put a sign on air, do not disturb, I will be out at 1 p.m. So give them an expectation so they know, hey, if I need you, you will be out at 1 p.m. I'll find you at 1 p.m. So this manage disruptions from when you work at home. Okay, so this is where Zoom settings come in. So I'll show you step by step how do you set up Zoom. You are new to Zoom, this is how it looks like. You have downloaded it. Click on the settings on the top right hand side. So you move on to video and you can test out how you look like. So for the video portion, you can select, you can check your camera angle. So you want it to be at your eye level. You're not to the side. You're not too down, not too up, but you're at eye level. So there's something that I want to also point out. With this camera, sometimes we might tilt up that our face looks arrogant. It's not our fault. Maybe it's our posture, it's the camera portion. So you might want to take a look at the angle of your face so that the lower your angle is, the more personal it is when you talk to your client, because that is how they judge our body language. It might not be accurate because it's over a camera, but we need to watch out for it. The next one is to click on touch up my appearance. So if you take photos, you would think that, hey, I need to meitu my photo to look good before I post it on Facebook. So Zoom has its own settings, which is over here, touch up my appearance. So click on that and then you will look good. The next one is to always show a video preview dialog when you join a video meeting. This is important because we don't want to immediately, unprepared, accidentally click on join the meeting and then we don't look good. So look, check, and make sure that your camera and your video is correct. So the next one is that I will talk about is actually the audio setting. So click here, choose this option over at the left-hand side. Click here for your speaker. Test your speaker, make sure you can hear a sound. Adjust the volume, make sure that your hardware is properly set up. Next is very important, which is to test your microphone. Click on that button, say test 1, 2, 3, or even sing, and make sure that when it plays back, you can listen to what you have recorded. Next is to mute your microphone when joining a meeting. This is important because you don't want to accidentally say something or have your family members shout something and then it's out of your control but you're unaware of it. So mute it, and after you join, you can unmute it, which I will show you later how do you unmute when your meeting starts. Next is for those who are holding meetings or a discussion with your colleagues, I would prefer to check this box, press and hold space key to temporarily unmute yourself. So by default, you'll be muted unless you have to speak, so that you will not disrupt your colleagues when they are speaking. For face-to-face meeting, this doesn't matter because this is just you and your client. So the next thing that I would like to share is the virtual background, which some of you have highlighted. This is where you get your virtual background. On the left-hand side, virtual background, you can choose what background, even none, which is over here. To upload your own photos for your background, you click on this plus button over here to upload your own photo. There'll be a summary slide at the end, so whatever settings I've shared with you, it will be repeated. So when you do not share if you pause your video, if I stop my video now, you can actually see that is my photo. So how do you put your photo? You put your photo okay. You put your photo by clicking on this circular face or icon, this square icon over here. So this is how you set up. I will go through it right at the end as a summary. So the next thing you would like to do is to invite your client for an appointment. So how do you usually invite? Usually I invite and say, hey, let's have a coffee at 3 p.m. So I'll say that, hey, why not, instead of us meeting face to face to have coffee, why not you make your own coffee, I make my own coffee, and let's just drink coffee and have a chit chat. So with that, we actually reduce the formal feeling of a video conferencing when we invite our clients to join us and have a discussion. Because I know some of your clients may have worked from home, Zoom and meetings and work, they tie in together, but we do not want that pressure or that link to stress fall on them when we invite them to a Zoom meeting. So if you can say, hey, let's chit chat over a cup of coffee via Zoom, it will actually make them feel more comfortable. So let's invite them for a meeting. So they say yes. How do we do it? So at the beginning, you can click on schedule and this window will pop up. So I understand that there are two options to start a meeting, new meeting and schedule, but I would prefer schedule because I can adjust these settings before I send the invite. So this is how it looks like. So for those who are asking for security, there are actually two things that you need to watch out for. One is the meeting ID. It needs to be generated automatically and never use your personal meeting. Personal meeting ID doesn't change. So if you give it to one person or many people, they can use the same ID, try their luck with the timing and the date and try to log in and bomb your meeting. So use generate automatically. The code will be specific to your meeting, and then every meeting will be different. Password is also required. So here we have Zoom automatically generating the meeting for password for you. That you can share with your client or your invitees later on. Next is the video. For me, I will on my video, and participants, I will default on their video because I want to see their face. This doesn't mean that it will automatically be on. Earlier on, we did a setting that says that we check our video preview, it will still pop up. So for this audio, I will select computer audio, calendar, I'll choose other calendars. But for those who are more savvy who wants to use Google Calendar, you can actually select Google Calendar. Okay, over here at advanced options, another point of security that I would like to share, always enable a waiting room so that you have the control who you want to invite into the waiting room. If you don't recognize that name, you can just ignore that person waiting in the waiting room, and there won't be any disruption to your meeting. Next is to enable join before host. To disable join before host. Make sure that this is unchecked so that you are always present to control the meeting. And for those who wants to conduct meeting for your group, for your team, mute participants on entry. Make this a default, because if everyone's mic is on, there will always be disruption with just by shuffling on the paper, even a sneeze, a cough, you are able to hear that. So mute it if you are conducting a meeting. If you are conducting face-to-face, one-on-one, just keep it unticked. So with that, you schedule your meeting, you click the button below schedule, and then it will have a pop-up. The pop-up is all your meeting details that you can copy and paste it in your WhatsApp, SMS, email, and invite your clients. So this is what it looks like. So you can brief your clients, hey, Mr. So-and-so, recommended device, they have desktop, they have tablet. They have tablet. You can download the Zoom app and open your email open the email that I've sent you. Just click on the link and you're good to go. Or they can manually open the Zoom app and key in the meeting ID and the password. So this is how you can lead your client, because you are new to this. Most of your clients are also new to this. So orientate each other, learn from each other. So I need you to spend the time to think. For me, how I invite my clients and to make it less formal is to tell them, hey, let's have a cup of coffee. So what's your way? Think of how have you been inviting your clients? What is your opener? Can you switch that to the digital version? So next up, we need to warm them up. It's at 3 p.m. now. So you log in 10 minutes before, you warm up, check the settings, and then you wait for 10 minutes for your clients to log on. But your client call you, hey, I've lost the email. How am I supposed to log in? And then instead of going through your email list or send an invite again, once you log in and wait for your client, you'll be seeing this screen. On the top left-hand corner, you can mouse over, and then you can see your meeting ID and the password. So you can say, hey, Mr. Qwerty, you can open your Zoom, and then you can key in the number for the meeting ID 123456, and then you can key in the password 56789. And then, okay, so once your client is in, he will be at the corner, one person in waiting. So it's for you to click on invite and ta-da, your client is in, or your team is in. So once they are in, everyone is in from your team, secure your room, lock the door. So this security icon, if you look over here, is at the bottom towards the left. Click lock meeting. With this lock meeting, which is another security option that you must do, stops uninvited people from bumping into your meeting. So for those who are conducting meeting, you have 3 options. Allow participants to share screen, chat, rename themselves. Usually, I would untick this. I would put the chat button, possibly put share screen button, depending on how big your meeting is and what are your plans for the meeting. Do you want more collaboration or just you and you speaking? So if just you speaking, you can actually just disable share screen. So to orientate those new users, just tell them 2 buttons will do. Don't complicate things. Mute and start video. That's all. They don't need to know the rest of the functions to actually speak to you, because that will be useless for face-to-face meetings. But for those who are in the meetings with your group, this is where you can toggle the different options. Click on manage participants. This is where they can raise their hands. This is where you can mute them or unmute them and change the settings over here. For the chat function, this is where they can just chit chat with each other, send specific message if you choose the tool, who to receive at the tool button. And for documents, I would like to highlight that even though we do not know how secure Zoom would be in terms of sending your messages over, or messages I think is okay, but for documents, I would rather you send those not sensitive ones via Zoom, but those sensitive ones, send it via email. So the next thing that you want to highlight to new users is the view. There are 2 views, gallery view and speaker view. I would most likely prefer gallery view, but this is up to you. And this is how the meeting goes. Always try to do a mic test. Have you eaten? Can you hear me? Ask a question so you can hear each other. If he answers you, means that he can hear you. If he answers you and you can hear it, means that mic test passed. For great things, say hello. Are you familiar with this tool? If you're familiar, okay, let's move on. Let's start. If you are not familiar, just orientate with that 2 buttons. And if they say that, hey, I can't see you, then you know how to orientate them with regards to the viewing. But generally, I don't really tell my clients to toggle the viewing options. But if they accidentally click, unable to see you, at least you know how to guide them along. Keep it simple. So with that, we move on to the main act of your show presentation. So remember earlier on, I told you to map what you have been doing, what you have been using to a digital application. So let me guide you step by step. How do you share? So when you click share screen at the bottom of Zoom, this is the options that you have. You have your windows of different applications. You have the option to share your screen. You have the option to share your whiteboard. I want to keep in mind over here that do not share screen. I repeat, this is very important. Do not share screen. Let me explain to you why. If you share your screen, whatever you do, pop-ups, open your email, alternate tab, whatever you do on the screen, your viewers will be able to see, and we do not want that. So if let's say a sensitive information that you're not prepared to show your client, but you share screen, stop. Just avoid this button as a whole. and choose specific application. I'm repeating this, going through slowly because I want to highlight this do not share screen. So let's start with whiteboard. If you use a touchscreen laptop, or if you use a touchscreen tablet, this is what you can do. You can use the stylus or your Apple Pencil to write. And you can write much better than me because I'm just using my mouse in this example. Over at the bottom, you can add, at the bottom right, you can add pages by clicking this square plus, and you can toggle between different pages with the arrows left and right. So let's look at others. Other than drawing, you can type text. To highlight important points, you can use arrows to stamp. Another one, which is spotlight, you can use to talk and highlight the points I'm talking about. See, look at C now. And if you want to save, to record your discussion, you can click save. To stop, click on stop share, and ta-da, you're done. The next one that I want to share with you is what I usually use, which is the Words document. I mentioned that as I go along, I will write down what is being discussed. So I can write about agenda, discuss about their concerns, and write some recommendations that I will work on before proposing to them. So with this, if you close this window and didn't click the stop share button, the screen sharing automatically stops. So this is a reason why I said do not share screen, because if you share screen with the screen option at the beginning, over here, beginning over here, if you close it and you forget to click on stop share, your client can see everything. So the last application that I would like to share is actually PDF, which is very common. Instead of using the annotate option within Zoom, I prefer to use this highlight function within PDF. Because if I were to use the annotate function within Zoom, I will be stamping or annotating only on the screen and not on the document itself. So if I were to discuss with my client, highlight key points, I can highlight using PDF highlight, save the document and mail it to my client. My client can remember the key points that I'm trying to share. So you see, as I stamp on this document, if I were to move the pages along, it's not very friendly to use. You can see the arrows doesn't follow. So this is one of the key points or key tips that I would like to share with everyone. So if you have any applications that you would usually use, feel free to put in Q&A to let other attendees know what are your favorite applications that you would like to use. So to repeat again, do not share, choose whiteboard or share a particular window, and send documents via email for easy tracking. So for screen share view options, for your clients, if they say, hey, your face is blocking your slide, you can tell them, look up, click on view options, side-by-side mode. If they choose this option, your slide will be at one side, they can see the full of it, and your face will be on the other side, the full screen of it, side by side. The other one that I would like to highlight for those hosting meetings is this advanced sharing options. This is for you to toggle who can share. If you want it the most secure, only host, one participant at a time, only host. This is to make it such that no one can share their pornography and bomb your meeting. But if you are doing a collaboration, you want different people to talk, then this is where you can relax your settings. For attendees view, if you want them to annotate, you can tell them it's view options, annotate. This is where they can draw. For those doing meetings, if you want to disable your participants for annotate, this is where you can get the options that you can toggle with. So other than that, hey, Avina, it's too complicated what you have shared. I want to click here, click there, and confuse myself and confuse my client. What can I do? There's another way that you can do it, which is to use different devices. One of it is you can use a WhatsApp call and tell your client, hey, I email you this PDF document. Maybe you can view it on your tablet, and then on video face-to-face conference over here on your phone, your your client can scroll through the different pages. There's an advantage of this, which is your client has the control which page he wants to do, because if you share screen, your client can't flip from page to page. But if you are looking at the document, your client is looking at the document at his end on a different screen, both of you can say, hey, let's look at page 20, and then they can scroll and then they can read the document as your clients, according to your client's preference. So for fun stuff, for team meetings, or even for your client engagement, if you want to do it online, these are the different tools that you can use other than PowerPoint or even a Word document. Google or YouTube these tools, which is quizzes, audience response, mind mapping. This is how it would look. Your audience can actually participate on quiz, flag this up, show this up within screen share in your Zoom. They can use their handphone to join the quiz, participate, and increase the engagement, especially for client seminars, because we don't want it to be too formal, more engaging, more interactive. You can know them better. You can conduct polls. I know Zoom, you are able to conduct polls in meeting, but I would prefer to use third party because they look much better and the interface is much better. Another one, which is more of collaboration, is to use Padlet if you want to do it for your team meetings or even for a client workshop. So with that, let's move on to the closing. Closing, basically, there are 3 different steps. The first preference is to complete the document. So usually on face-to-face, I would key in the details and with my client beside me, keying in together so that as and when I didn't get the handphone number or email correct, they can correct me immediately. So you might want to share screen, but if it's too cumbersome and you're worried that, hey, I accidentally click on the dashboard and my client can see all my client lists, yeah, be careful of that. So if you want to avoid that, complete the form offline, email it to your client instead, tell your client to go over, and lastly, guide your clients to sign or even make payment online. I know we can't meet each other. It's a very steep, it might be a steep learning curve to get into this digital platform. It's the same for your clients. So check with them whether they need step-by-step guidance, especially those in their 50s, in their 60s, which usually have to guide them to how to even make payment on AXS or iBanking, and even sign using the PDF software. Always check with your compliance for guidance and the steps you need to do to close a deal. So with that, I have this cheat sheet that we will share. So what I've gone through with you: video settings, audio settings, how to do a virtual background, profile, how do you change your profile picture, how do you schedule a meeting, and admit your client, lock your meeting room, and for those specific for meetings, mute participants on entry over here. If you see those with a lock, it means those are required if you want to secure your Zoom experience. And meet your team and lock meetings and allow participants to share screen. These are security features they want to tweak. These are also the security features which I mentioned just now. And this is for new users. There are a few things that you want to highlight to them: how to log into Zoom, 2 key buttons that they will use, how do you toggle between views, how do you toggle the view when you share screen, and how to annotate, which is optional. So with that, some reminders and tips: check in with your client often. Ask them questions every 5 minutes to check on their understanding and attention. Because you can't see their body language, you can't read their body language, call out to them, ask questions to make sure you're right on track. Because screen time, a very long meeting on screen is very tiring on the eyes. Keep it short. You can ask for a breakup session, go and have a drink of water and then come back, pause it a while, or compress into a divide into 2 sessions. Don't compress everything into one, because on screen it's very tiring. Practice with your colleagues, family, or friends. You can even practice with yourself. Host a chit-chat session, a tea drinking session, and try all the screen share tools. Paste all the heart shapes that you want. Stamp all the heart shapes that you want in the annotate function. Also, check if your company's compliance. And most importantly, be your usual self. Remember, tell yourself, You're not doing anything different except that you're talking to the screen instead of a physical face-to-face with your client. Say what you usually say, present what you usually present, do the necessary paperwork and closing, and of course, smile. So that's the end of my presentation. I'll hand it over to Angel.
Thank you so much, Amina, for sharing. Okay, so just in case, okay, so for some of us who are not so, gadgets savvy and everything, I'm not using ground light. I didn't have an additional mic or earphone. We can still go ahead with this platform. And before I go on also, I'll remind everyone on the law of 72. We know this law and how it applies to investment. But do you know that this applies to learning too? We'll lose 50% of what we learn after 3 days. So please, after you know how to do it, okay, start to practice with your loved ones, your friends, your colleagues before you try them on your clients. I can say that it's definitely good to practice first. Okay, without further ado, let's now take a look at the Q&A. And can we have the panelists all to show your faces? Amina, you're here. Nick, yes, you're back on. Okay, so we go for the, yes, so just to remind all of us, on your bottom of the session, there's this Q&A. Feel free to type in your question or like the question which someone has asked. We will attempt to answer the question to the best of our knowledge. Okay, I must say this, to the best of our knowledge. Okay, so number one question. Is Zoom sales process part of compliance? How can one protect personal data? Okay, so maybe let me run through the answers first, and maybe Nick can share with us on the personal data protection. How does Kaplan do it? Okay, so is the sales process, Zoom process part of compliance? I must first repeat, please check with your company on the compliance. What we are doing right now is that we are doing non-face-to-face interview. It's like when we call your clients, hey, hi, we talk about something over the phone. This doesn't need compliance approval. It's really just a session for us to be able to share ideas with our clients. Okay, and I want to reiterate, personal data and info should only be sent through company email, and they must be encrypted. Okay, so do not show any personal or private information over this platform. Okay, Nick, anything to add?
Thanks, NPL, and it's a really good question and a timely one. There's been media reports in a number of different countries about encryption. I think the broader context is data security is becoming increasingly important and is being focused on by regulators across all different industries. And to go back to the earlier point, financial practitioners have access to both health and financial data of families. So I think our role as practitioners is to understand our legal obligations and not just have the minimum, but also go beyond that. And to think about, as you just highlighted, NBL, what is the compliance resources and tools that we have to draw upon to manage client data. In the education sector, data security is equally as important, equally as regulated. Managing the data security of 45,000 students, this needs to be front and center, and we need to understand what our legal obligations are. If you think about the map of all of the different tools to help deliver advice, let's just go back to the problem we are solving today, which is, as we are working from home in the circuit breaker, how do we deliver client conversations using videos? And I think, Edwina, you highlighted time again, is don't share personal information. Treat it just as a tool for what the problem it is solving, which is video, and common sense, and be smart about it. And I wouldn't be sharing any personal client information online without the normal data security protocols.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Okay, so let's go on to the second question. Please show us how to attach, file, and present. Avina, do you want to help on this?
Okay, if you want, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to send a file, to your client, I would rather you send it via email rather than the chat function, especially if there's data in it, especially if there's sensitive information in it. Because it's easy for you to track, you can encrypt it via your company email app compared to sending over Zoom. So in terms of if you just want to send an image over, not your IC, but just a normal image, you can actually do it via the chat function, which is, let me see, which is over here. You can see the file over here at the bottom left. Click on toggle chat so that the group chat window opens, and this is where you can send a file over to your client. Yeah, so that's a technical answer to your question.
Thank you, Arina. Okay, so my iPad doesn't show all the settings shown, and I've updated my software and Zoom app. Okay, so for this, maybe I would like to share a little also before Arina adds on. Personally, I will use it over my laptop. In laptop, we can see more functions. In terms of iPad or iPhone, because the screen size is smaller, so in terms of access and everything is more limited. Yes, so Arina, anything to share?
I've tried on my tablet, I've tried on an iPad, cannot. That's why I would most recommend you to do it on a laptop or a desktop. It's easier for you, and I like to use the mouse.
So can we have the last question? We're at 12:52. Okay, we keep to our time. So Zoom meeting only kept 40 minutes. So how? Wow, this is a easy and not so easy question. So just like to share with all of you, if it's only to 2 users, you and your client only, there's no time limit. You and your client only, no time limit. It's only if when you want to have an agency meeting, when it involves more than 2 participants, yes, there's this 40 minutes limitation. So the key thing is if we are self-employed, okay, so if you feel that this is a good tool for you in a business, we need to invest in it or check with your company. Some companies, different companies may have different platforms available for them. So this is all. Okay, so next, wow, thank you, Arina, for sharing. That's excellent. Okay, so all the other answers due to time, okay, we can't answer you. We'll try to put it on our Facebook or even our website to answer some of your questions. Okay, and a lot of us are asking for the slides and especially the Zoom session. Yes, it will be available to you. We will be finding out what's the best way for us to send the information to you. And next, in regards to the recording, yeah, we will discuss about it. Thank you for the overwhelming response. Okay, so finally, before we go, let me repeat. IFPAS stands for Insurance and Financial Practitioners Association of Singapore. IFPAS objective is always to give, prepare, and represent all financial practitioners of Singapore. Find us online, Facebook, Instagram, or even call us. We will try our best to answer your queries and handle your feedbacks. Thank you again for the overwhelming demand and response. This session alone, wow, we have 1,000 registered. It hits our max. We'll continue to work hard and work right for our members. Next, I'll just want to share with you some other things that we are upcoming for you. Next training for our practitioners and useful to our practitioners, we have Mr. Patrick will be sharing with us CPF literacy series. Okay, he has for himself done up a lot of, I would say, that research on CPF life. I believe his valuable insights will be there for all of us to gain from, and we are a practitioner sharing our practitioner experience. And of course, after this, a series of technical workshops we have in line, which is the next slide we can see. So we have, other than CPF literacy series, we have our medical literacy series. Okay, so which involves the MediShield Life, okay, CareShield Life, and also some of the law subjects, and we have actually gotten lawyers. Okay, if you are out here with our previous technical workshop, we even invite a lot of different people on different fields to share with us their experience. So next, of course, let me bring you to the next slide. Okay, we also have our CHFC. Okay, so do you know that using this via this CHFC, immediate it can give you IBF level 2. And if you have experience of more than 8 years, it will give you an IBF Advanced Level 3. So IBF they are making it to become international language. So I believe you'll work well on your resume. And also, of course, with SCI, we'll also be relaunching CLU lessons, Chartered Life Underwriting. So this is really underwriter course. This is really exciting. So with that, I'll bring you to the next slide. This is, of course, the IFPAS EXCO members. We are here. We'll continue to work right and work hard for all our members. May all members please stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. We see you next time. So next, okay. Thank you again for your time. That's all for our session today, and we are on the dot. It's 12:57. Thank you. Please give us your feedback. We'll continue to take it in, and we'll make next session even better. Thank you. See you. Thank you, Irina. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you have learned something.